Multiple intelligence community assessments released in the months leading up to the November 2016 election concluded that Russia had neither the intent nor capability to impact the outcome of the U.S. election. On December
What's up, guys? It's Benny. Public beatings are technically illegal as punishment in America unless you are a reporter inside of the White House press briefing room, where it happens on a near weekly and daily basis. Caroline Leavitt scorching the reporters in the room today for their complicit stenography of Barack Obama's fake hoax against President Trump. Reporters at legacy outlets were ridiculously awarded Pulitzer Prizes for perpetuating this hoax. It's not journalism, it's political propaganda and disinformation in the service of the Democrat Party and the intelligence community who hand over false political narratives. Boom. But she won't done yet. She brought out Tulsi Gabbard to officially drop the, oh shit moment for Barack Obama when Tulsi went through a blistering opening statement laying out all of the crimes of the Obama regime in great detail. And then she was asked her first question, which is, what are you going to do with all this information? And Tulsi says this.
Any of this new information implicates former President Obama in criminal behavior?
we have referred and will continue to refer all of these documents to the Department of Justice and the FBI to investigate the criminal implications of this.
For even former President Obama?
Correct. The evidence that we have found and that we have released directly point to President Obama leading the manufacturing of this intelligence assessment. There are multiple pieces of evidence and intelligence that confirm that fact.
Yeah, that's panic time for anybody inside of the Obama regime. They obviously must be incredibly scared. We can see from their statements and their quotes, or from their silence, that they are very scared. You know, you'd have to beat them away with a stick in order to stay off MSNBC over the past couple of years. Brennan, Clapper, Comey, Weissman. These guys had a tent in the green room at MSNBC. But now you can't find them anywhere. Isn't that strange? The silence is deafening, as they say. Viewers on CNN heard silence during this commentary from Tulsi Gabbard because they refused to play it. How damaging is this that CNN cuts away? CNN did cut away in a hysterical moment here. Tulsi Gabbard is just beginning to lay out the full evidence of the Russia collusion hoax. And CNN immediately pulls the plug. This is without question the single most important story of transparency and government corruption in American history. And CNN doesn't want their viewers to see it. I wonder why.
Full intelligence community assessments released in the months leading up to the November 2016 election concluded that Russia had neither the intent nor capability to impact the outcome of the U.S. election. On December 5th.
We've been listening there to the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, continuing on what has now been a multi-day effort, not only with public statements like this, but release of documents to attempt to back up the quite extreme allegation that President Obama is guilty of treason and that he worked in some sort of conspiracy with Hillary Clinton, etc., in the assessment by the intelligence community at the time that Russia interfered in the 2016 election.
Incredible. I'm having massive flashbacks. They used to do this to Donald Trump. When Donald Trump would talk about stolen elections and rigged elections, they would just talk over him. They couldn't allow the narrative to be broken on their channel. This is why these channels have to go. They have to be destroyed. They've already been destroyed. They've been destroyed by channels like ours, actually. Because we'll let you hear the truth. Sometimes we like or don't like what's going on, but that doesn't mean we turn all the volume down. What an insane way to cut in to Tulsi Gabbard. And the reason why they did was because CNN is named, actually, by by Tulsi Gabbard, as one of the outlets that immediately and unquestioningly ran with, under very mysterious circumstances and timings, the pre-approved Barack Obama narrative about Russia collusion. And of course, they can't have their viewers, fragile snow globe world, atomized by Tulsi Gabbard live. They have to cut in and do just humiliating things like this. Watch this.
Idea. I mean, this is hardly information that we should even be repeating. Never mind that it's, some years after the fact, 8 years more than that after the fact, but also just to look at the source. But look, this is the what this White House wants to talk about, and I'm not sure that we should spend that much more time on it, frankly.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that
these little rats. You know, it's these guys, Jim Sciutto, Jeff Zeleny, this guy, saying that this is hardly information that we should be repeating. I'm not sure we should spend that much more time on it. What an insane thing to say. As a reporter, it's like you're giving up the entire game here. Yo, listen, sometimes I don't like the stories we have to cover on the channel. Whether it's Trump getting a mugshot or arrested again, right, or whatever, found guilty in New York. I mean, it's like we don't cover it, though. There are so many things that happened over the last couple of years that I didn't like and I wasn't happy about. And I thought they were wrong. But, like, that's not, like, my obligation to the channel is to tell the truth. And so that's what we've done. So an insane admission here. Tulsi blowing up the Russia hoax, which they spent 3 years mindlessly spewing to their audience. This is hardly information that we should be repeating. What? This is the director of national intelligence with original source documents bringing you this information. What do you mean it's information you shouldn't be repeating? It's not like she hasn't backed it all up. She's backed it all up. She's released everything. Damage control, says the White House. Fake news CNN cuts away as Gabbard outlines links to which the Obama administration went to manufacture the Russia hoax. CNN shields its viewers from Tulsi Gabbard's evidence that Barack Obama conspired to rig the 2016 election for Hillary. Fake news network cut away. This is not news, it's propaganda. Complicit in perpetuating the Russian collusion hoax for years, CNN cuts off Tulsi Gabbard as she lays out all of the information about Obama's manufactured hoax. This is CNN. CNN in panic. Everybody's noticing they cut away. CNN cuts away as soon as Tulsi gets into the very good stuff. Tulsi, Russia had neither the intent nor capacity to impact the outcome of the U.S. election. CNN, we've been listening to Tulsi Gabbard attempts to back up extreme allegations. It's wild. I'm not asking you to take my word for it, says Tulsi. I'm asking you in the media to conduct honest journalism and the American people to see it for yourselves. And CNN cuts away. Wild. You know, there's an old Shakespearean line. The lady doth protest too much. It applies here. The reaction to this is wild. Here's a good example. How many Kamala Harris press conferences did we cover? Lots. How many times did Joe Biden speak on our channel? Live. Lots of times. We never once cut away. Like, depending on what the speech was or if it was really important, we'd cover it live. Never once was I here to, like, interrupt Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton or Kamala or whatever. We let them talk. Like, we can say our piece afterwards, but it was never like, don't you dare listen to that. What Obama is saying, or what Barack Obama is saying, what Kamala is saying, what Biden is saying, that's so dangerous for my audience's ears. It proves I'm such a fraud that I won't even let you hear it. What a wild world that we live in, that this is the way that corporate media reacts. Such bitches. Y'all are bitches. CNN abruptly cuts off the feed because they don't want their audience to hear the truth. Welcome to state media. Cover up live on air. CNN pulls the plug. Here's what they didn't want you to hear. We put together what we believe to be the strongest parts of Tulsi's entire commentary, and there's plenty of channels that have posted the full thing. Ladies and gentlemen, here's our mashup that we liked the very most of the greatest bombshells that Tulsi delivered. And I'm sure you can see why. If you were complicit in this cover-up, you'd want to pull the plug too. Here you go.
At President Trump's direction and with the support and coordination with the House Intelligence Committee Chairman Rick Crawford, today we've released a declassified oversight majority staff report that was produced in September of 2020. The stunning revelations that we are releasing today should be of concern to every American. This is not about Democrats or Republicans. This has to do with the integrity of our democratic republic and American voters having faith that the votes cast will count. There is irrefutable evidence that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though it were true. It wasn't. The report that we released today shows in great detail how they carried this out. They manufactured findings from shoddy sources. They suppressed evidence and credible intelligence that disproved their false claims. They disobeyed traditional tradecraft intelligence community standards and withheld the truth from the American people. In doing so, they conspired to subvert the will of the American people who elected Donald Trump in that election in November of 2016. They worked with their partners in the media to promote this lie, ultimately to undermine the legitimacy of President Trump and launching what would be a years-long coup against him and his administration. In the documents that we've released now, close to 200 pages that point in multiple references, multiple examples, to include comments that have been made by senior intelligence professionals, who are some still working within these agencies today, that confirm the conclusions that we have drawn, that President Obama directed an intelligence community assessment to be created to further this contrived false narrative that ultimately led to a years-long coup to try to undermine President Trump's presidency. It goes into great detail about the information that Russia and Putin had on Hillary Clinton, which included possible criminal acts like secret meetings with multiple named U.S. religious organizations in which State Department officials offered, in exchange for supporting Secretary Clinton's campaign for the presidency, significant increases in financing from the State Department. They also had documents that showed the patronage of the State Department to State Department employees who would go and support Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. There were high-level DNC emails that detailed evidence of Hillary's, quote, psycho-emotional problems, uncontrolled fits of anger, aggression, and cheerfulness, and that then Secretary Clinton was allegedly on a daily regimen of heavy tranquilizers. Then CIA Director Brennan and the intelligence community mischaracterized intelligence and relied on dubious substandard sources to create a contrived false narrative that Putin developed a quote-unquote clear preference for.
I believe that any of this new information implicates former President Obama in criminal behavior.
We have referred and will continue to refer all of these documents to the Department of Justice and the FBI to investigate the criminal implications of this.
For even former President Obama?
Correct. The evidence that we have found and that we have released directly point to President Obama leading the manufacturing of this intelligence assessment. There are multiple pieces of evidence and intelligence that confirm that fact.
Ed, go ahead.
Director Gabbard, thank you. So just two questions, but to begin on that. The president yesterday, you've inferred that the former president helped lead a coup. Based on what you now see, do you believe President Obama is guilty of treason?
I'm leaving the criminal charges to the Department of Justice. I am not an attorney, but as I've said previously, when you look at the intent behind creating a fake manufactured intelligence document that directly contradicts multiple assessments that were created by the intelligence community, the expressed intent and what followed afterward can only be described as a years-long coup and a treasonous conspiracy against the American people, our republic, and an attempt to undermine President Trump's administration.
The Senate Intelligence